Welcome to this deep dive. We're digging into fascinating sources to pull out the knowledge you can use.
Glad to be here.
So today, we're jumping back, way back actually, to King Solomon, specifically his preparations for building the temple in Jerusalem. We're looking at 2 Chronicles Chapter 2.
Right. It's quite the account.
Yeah, and the question is, what can this ancient story, this planning phase, tell us about how we approach big things today? Maybe even about our faith.
Well, the first thing that jumps out is just the sheer scale. It's massive. Solomon organizes this huge workforce. What is it? Like 70,000 burden bearers, 80,000 stone cutters.
And 3,600 overseers keeping track of it all.
Exactly. It's an enormous undertaking. You get a sense of the ambition right from the start.
Definitely. And it wasn't all just local labor, was it? He reaches out.
Yeah, he sends word to King Hiram of Tyre, which is interesting because Hiram had helped his father, David, before.
Right, there's history there. And this time Solomon's asking for specific things. Skilled workers, materials.
Especially that cedar wood from Lebanon. The really good stuff. It shows he wasn't cutting corners. He wanted the best for this.
Which brings us to the motivation, right? Why go to all this trouble?
Solomon's pretty clear about it. He says he's building a house for the name of the Lord, a place for worship, for offerings. It's all rooted in this idea of God's greatness.
So it's not just a building project.
Yeah.
It's fundamentally an act of devotion.
Precisely. That's the core of it.
Okay, so huge scale, top-tier resources, deep spiritual motivation. Let's unpack that a bit. The first thing that strikes me is this focus on excellence. The meticulous planning, getting the best wood, the skilled artisans.
Yeah, it's more than just getting it done. It really feels like a commitment to honoring God through the quality of the work itself.
Like the effort and the materials reflect the importance of the purpose.
Exactly. It wasn't just about making something functional. It was about demonstrating reverence, using the finest materials, seeking out the best skills available. The dedication speaks volumes.
So how does that translate for us, bringing our best to whatever we're doing?
I think so, whether it's our job or maybe something creative or even how we engage in our community, putting in that dedicated effort, striving for excellence. It can be a way we express our deeper values, our commitment.
That makes sense. But there's also this interesting tension, isn't there? Because Solomon himself, even while building this incredible place, acknowledges that God is bigger than any building.
Oh, absolutely. He says the heaven and heaven of heavens cannot contain him. It's a powerful moment of humility right in the middle of this grand plan.
So how do those two things fit together? Striving for the best, but knowing it's inadequate in a way.
It's fascinating. The temple wasn't meant to contain God, but to be a focal point, a symbol, a place for people to connect with the divine. So Solomon could pursue excellence in its construction while understanding God's ultimate transcendence.
And for us today, that means...
Well, maybe it means we can pour ourselves into our work, strive for quality, but also hold it lightly. Recognize that our efforts, our successes, they aren't the ultimate thing. There's a reliance on something bigger. It fosters humility, I think.
Keeping things in perspective. Okay. Something else that really stands out is the collaboration. Solomon doesn't go it alone. He actively seeks partnership with Hiram.
Yeah, that's crucial. He recognizes he needs help. Hiram and the Tyrians had specific skills, especially with timber and craftsmanship, that the Israelites didn't necessarily have at that level.
So reaching out wasn't weakness, it was wisdom.
Exactly. It shows an understanding that big goals often require bringing different strengths together. You need collaboration.
And that feels incredibly relevant today. In work, community projects, even families.
Absolutely. Recognizing what others bring to the table, building those relationships, it's often the key to achieving something significant. You can get so much more done together.
And underpinning all of this, even before the first stone is cut, is the planning, the organization, counting the workers, assigning roles.
You can't overlook that. It's easy to focus on the building itself, but none of it happens without that groundwork. The careful organization, the logistics, it's fundamental.
It's a reminder that good intentions aren't enough. You need a plan to turn vision into reality.
Right. Strategy matters. Preparation matters. Whether it's a massive temple or, just a project at work or a personal goal.
Okay, let's try and tie some of these threads together. We have excellence, humility, collaboration, planning. How can looking back at Solomon's example here actually maybe strengthen our own faith today?
Well, think about it. Solomon's reverence for God is what fuels his drive for excellence. So when we approach our own work, our own building projects in life, with a sense of purpose beyond just ourselves, maybe that infuses it with deeper meaning, almost like an act of worship itself.
Seeing our work as service, maybe?
Perhaps. And his humility, that acknowledgement of God's greatness, it reminds us that our talents are gifts. It encourages reliance on God's guidance, not just our own strength.
And the collaboration piece.
That models how building good relationships, valuing others' contributions. That reflects how a healthy community, even a faith community, functions, doesn't it? We're interconnected. We achieve more together.
And the planning. It's not just sitting back and waiting.
No, faith often involves action. It involves doing our part, making careful plans, taking steps forward, while trusting in God's provision and guidance along the way. It's this blend of diligent effort and deep reliance.
So reflecting on Solomon's approach, that mix of reverence, hard work, humility, partnership, it can deepen our own trust.
I think it really can. It gives a practical example of faith in action during a huge, challenging undertaking.
Okay, so to kind of wrap up this deep dive into 2 Chronicles 2, Solomon's temple prep really highlights these timeless ideas, doesn't it? Excellence, humility working together, and the sheer importance of planning ahead.
Absolutely. And they're not just dusty historical points, they offer real wisdom for navigating our lives today. Thinking about these things can genuinely strengthen your faith, giving you a framework for tackling challenges with purpose.
Right, with intention and maybe a better perspective on what really matters.
Exactly.
So here's a final thought for you listening. What's the significant temple you're building in your life right now? It could be your career, your family, maybe your community involvement, or even personal growth. How might these principles we talked about, excellence, humility, collaboration, planning, shape how you approach that work, reflecting your own deepest values and purpose? Something to think about.